Occasionally, here at Ask Auntie Pete, we're asked to review and critique unusual or questionable products. Sometimes that takes effort, but sometimes the easiest way is to stand back and let the viewer judge for themselves. This is one of the latter occasions.
A party political broadcast on behalf of the European Direct Interventionist Party. The European Direct Interventionist Party is about escaping from interference. Not the type you get on your radio, or the type that gets senior media personalities jailed for life, but interferences in the running of British affairs by external agencies. Last year there was an announcement that new EU guidelines are suggesting that the 4 times table be dropped from the national curriculum. Pupils will instead be instructed to use the 2 times table and double the result. And now this morning we have been informed that Brussels is set to redefine up, based around the French Flèche d'Or standard. The Flèche d'Or, or Golden Arrow, dates back to 1899 and is based on an arrow made of an alloy of platinum and iridium at the headquarters of the International Bureau of Weights and Measures. Now, whilst in Paris it does indeed point straight up, the further you get from Paris, the more that local up, as it were, varies from the Flèche d'Or standard due to the curvature of the Earth's surface. So, a tower block built in Inverness to French standards would be dangerously canted, with cans of Tennant's Extra rolling across the floor and piling up against one wall. And I want you to ask yourself, is this where we as a country have got to? Stand on our famed white cliffs and look out across the water, and what do you see? A world full of crazies, frankly. According to my grandmother, only 26% of people in Europe are literate. Only 77% are toilet trained, and of those, only 62% choose to exercise that skill. The peoples of Europe are born into this world with nothing but an overcoat of vaginal mucus, and though they don't want to admit it, that's the high point for most of their lives. You can't hold it against them, of course. Don't forget, the majority of Europeans are not descended from the same stock as us. The British are descended from regal apes, such as the gorilla, who conduct themselves with decorum, chewing a grass stalk with a faraway gaze as they inwardly debate the infinite. Whereas science has categorically proven that the vast majority of Europeans are descended from those little monkeys which are constantly and visibly masturbating, the only break in their thrashing schedule being where they have penciled in half an hour of throwing their feces about. So let us not blame them, but let us also be clear. Diplomacy is useless. Take the Battle of Agincourt in 1415. We won against the French, and they said that we could have their country. This is historical fact. They said we could have it. But then what happened? A few years later they told us that they were only joking and kicked us out. You simply can't negotiate with people like that. It's like pretending to a lion that you're gay in the hopes that he won't eat you. All you're really doing is making the situation worse. Germany and France are allying in the European Parliament. And as we all know, in the stream of life there are frogs and there are lily pads. And history has shown us time and time again that the only way to survive is not to be the lily pad. Unless there are crocodiles, in which case try to be the lily pad because then the frogs are in trouble. And that is why it's time to take action on Europe. Direct action. We want, no, England requires every patriot to meet us at Dover Ferry Terminal on January the 1st, bringing with them a passport, a packed lunch, and a spade. This march will be an historic one, and when your fair-haired grandchild is dandled on your knee in years to come, make sure that you have an answer to his question. What did you do, Grandad/Grandma, please delete as applicable, when the cream of our nation gathered to take justice to the ragtag assorted discount bin that constituted the so-called European Union? Because, rest assured, that question will come. People often ask, what exactly is the aim of your march? The March on Europe is breathtaking in its simplicity and awesome in its scope. We will not, as some foolish people have, try to take all of Europe on at once. Let us not forget that for every one of us, there are many of them. Well, simple enough, you may think, but don't forget that the converse of that is that for every one of them, there is only a small bit of one of us, say, a limb. And clearly your leg versus a European brandishing a burning pitchfork is not going to have a lot of luck. And so we divide and conquer. Our first act will be to establish a beachhead in France. Once France is captured, which our strategists estimate will take most of the morning, we will then dig a trench just north of the Pyrenees so that the Iberian Peninsula, bearing Spain and Portugal, will get washed out into the Atlantic on the evening tide. This will not only teach them humility, it will also put them in a fine position to be used as a forward base when we take back the colonies. But let us not run away with ourselves, because that often leads to self-love behind the bike sheds. To Italy, we will simply give a hefty nudge in the small of the back, so that they stagger across the Mediterranean and spill North Africa's pint. Ever since the whole Abyssinia thing, there's been little love lost across Homer's wine-dark sea, and, speaking of which, we will simply send the Persians a note in Greek handwriting, saying Xerxes was a gayer, and stand back to watch the proceedings with interest. Central Europe we shall leave to its own devices. Countries there come and go every other week, and the cost of trying to administer that in terms of replacement maps alone makes it a non-starter. Similarly with Scandinavia, they will simply follow whoever buys the most pornography. Germany we will leave to last, and once they see that we are the new king of the castle, they will bow to reason. Plus which, there are enough nations looking at them and fingering bottlenecks for our German friends to know what's good for them. Many people have asked about Russia, and whether or not it's part of Europe. The answer is no, they're not. They're a close neighbour and nothing more. When it all kicks off, they'll probably peer over the fence and wonder what all the noise is about, and then go back to mowing the Urals. And once that is done, and the dust clears, then all of the tiny, forgotten principalities like Andorra, Liechtenstein, and Belgium will see a new giant bestriding the continent, one that wears nothing but a Union Jack proudly donned toga style, so that the nations gathered about our feet will look up and clearly see the quality of our British manhood. Many people ask a simple question: why? And in answer, I shall quote Martin Luther: it's because we have a dream. We have a dream where people are united. We have a dream of a world where people with eyes less than half an inch apart are phased out. We have a dream of a world where a man can enjoy simple pleasures like playing with Lego without being ridiculed when I was in Debenhams. But most of all, we believe in a world where our children can frolic securely, because we have taken this simple dream and shown the continent that British blood is still thicker than anything they've got. Godspeed and rule Britannia.